Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about Auth0 Identity Infrastructure as Code. The agenda of the session today is we are going to see what is infrastructure as code, what are the benefits of using it, and how we can set up Auth0 Identity Infrastructure as Code. What are the different options, followed by a short demo and discussing next steps. I'm Sivamuthukumar, working as software architect in Computer Enterprises Inc. I'm one of the Auth0 ambassador speaker. I mostly speak in cloud security, mobile and IoT solutions. I'm from Orlando, Florida. You can follow me at my Twitter handle at ksivamuthu and also in LinkedIn. Infrastructure as code. What is infrastructure as code? The description goes like this. It's a management of infrastructure in a descriptive model using the same versioning as DevOps team uses for source code. What does that mean? We can write the entire infrastructure specification in the descriptive code. It may include your VMs, your networking settings, your load balancer settings, and whatever the infrastructure that's required for your application to be up and running. You can write the infrastructure in the code. Since we are writing the infrastructure in the code, you can integrate that into the source control and also the DevOps practices. That means you can review your PR changes of your infrastructure. You can integrate CI/CD pipelines from your source control. And also, we can reuse the code. Since we are writing that in the code, we can reuse the code in different application, or you can use the same code to deploy in different environments. Using this, you can manage and provision infrastructure in cloud or in on-premise. So how does the workflow looks like? How the infrastructure as code works? Developers write a code, and that code is in descriptive model that have all the information about your infrastructure. You can store that in version control, and also you can run testing and audit for your code and also your infrastructure. For example, whether the network is open for everyone, do we have protected this network using security groups or not? Is there any secrets in this infrastructure as code in your source control? So you can continuously write your test and audit in your code so that you can make your code is secure. Then whenever the changes got pushed, the automation or API is deploy and manage your infrastructure that's on cloud or in on-premise. You can completely spin the new environment in your cloud infrastructure, and at the same time, if you want to do like any modification or if you want to completely tear down like the environment, you can do all those operations from the infrastructure as code as you do. So what are the benefits of using it? Faster time to production and market, improved consistency. You can follow like the same infrastructure what you are using in the dev environment. You can spin the same for like QA environment and production environment. No questions about like you are missing some configuration in like a dev server, you are missing configuration in QA server. There are like no such confusion. You are going to consistently maintaining your infrastructure across the environments. Less configuration drift, faster and more efficient development, certainly lower your cost so that you can spend more time on developing innovation. Now, how we can set up Auth0 identity using the infrastructure as code. In this section, we are going to see how we can set up Auth0 apps or APIs and how we can manage that using infrastructure as code option. So when it comes to the Auth0 is managed service for your identity needs. So it includes identity, authentication, authorization, and extensibility. You can create a client application, whether it can be like single SPA or like in mobile or in background application. So you can authenticate a user And also you can set up the resource server and the roles to authorize your APIs, and the extensible options such as setting up the rules, setting up the hooks, and setting up the actions. So those are like extending your authentication flow. So Auth0 provides like single stop solution for like all your authentication needs. So where I can set all those Auth0 resources, for that you need to log into the Auth0 dashboard. So you can sign up there, log into the dashboard, and in the left hand side you can see the different options, including like creating an application, creating an API, SSO integration, external connection, and lot more. But now we are talking about how we can set that up using code, how we can manage these resources using code, how we can do like a different environments or different products. For that, Auth0 is providing management API. So management API is a REST API where you can authenticate using their client ID and the client secret. So using the client ID and client secret configured, you can call this REST API to do all the REST operation of your Auth0 resources. What does that mean? What does that mean? You can create tenants, you can create application, you can create APIs and lot more. So whatever your dashboard can do, or whatever you can do in Auth0 dashboard, you can do the same thing from Auth0 management API itself. So that lays like the base point for all infrastructure as code tool options we are going to look at right now. So let's see like how the API Explorer looks like. So in the Auth0 dashboard, if you go to like the APIs, we're having the Auth0 management API. So if you click that, you have this API Explorer. So this API Explorer is nothing but REST endpoint. So you can see like the different option, for example, getting a client, creating a client, basically CRUD operation for like Auth0 resources. The same thing goes for like a resource server as well, create, get, delete, and update a resource server. So you can call this REST API and to do like all the necessary operations for your Auth0 resources. Now we are going to see like a three different option how you can create the Auth0 resource using the infrastructure as code. Not only you are going to write the code for creating this resource, and also you want to integrate with your CI/CD environment. So whenever you are committing your configuration change or your code of Auth0 resource creation into GitHub or in your source control, it should be automatically deployed, or it should be automatically creating the Auth0 resources. For that, we are going to see first option, Auth0 deploy CLI. This is the first-in-class tool that's provided by Auth0. So Auth0 deploy CLI is a node module package. So it all you can call this tool either using command line or using programmatically. And also Auth0 is providing Auth0 deploy CLI as an extension here. I will show you how that works. This is the node CLI we are talking about. That's from Auth0, Auth0 deploy CLI. So in this one, you have to install that using npm tool. So npm -g auth0 deploy CLI, that will install this tool in your machine. And you can call programmatically, or you can call through like a CLI. It can able to like both import and also export the configuration. If you have already created some resources manually through the dashboard, you can export the configuration in the directory or YAML structure. The same thing, you can modify the configuration directly in the code, and you can push the changes, or you can run the changes in the Auth0 so that it can create those resources in the dashboard itself. So for that now, I have exported everything in like infrastructure Auth0 deploy, Auth0 app demo. You can see it is creating like a nice structure here, like the folder structure for different Auth0 resource. For example, the client, we are having Auth0 app demo dev app JSON. The same thing goes for like a resource server, Auth0 app demo dev API.json. So these are like the different configuration for each Auth0 resource that's all created in this directory structure. Now, if I want to create like another resource, I can create like another JSON file like Auth0 app demo staging API. And then if I push these changes or if I run this tool, those resources will be created in the Auth0. But how I can integrate this into GitHub? How I can deploy this automatically using the source control? For that, Auth0 is providing like extensions. So if you go to the Auth0, you have like two extensions here. One is Auth0 deploy CLI, and the second one is GitHub deployments. You can use like other deployments as well, like a GitLab or any other source control. So Auth0 deploy CLI, we have installed this extension and we can do the deployment using CLI. But I want to automate this, right? So for the GitHub deployments, we need to configure like this is my repo and this is my branch and the my directory structure or like my Auth0 deploy CLI generated code. Those are in this directory, and you can like auto redeploy or like allow delete those options, right? And configure this extension. And once you configure, go to the extension here and go to the configuration. You will see the webhook settings, right? So you configure the webhook settings in your GitHub repo. So whenever some push is happened in your repo, the webhook will be called and the deployments will be triggered. So if you go to the deployments, whenever I'm making change, you can see like I have deleted one resource server or I have updated 3 clients. So each and every resource you can see like whether it's deleted, created or updated. So those logs will be available here. So this is like the easy integration, right? You are using the tool and you are installing both Auth0 deploy CLI and GitHub integration extension, then whatever changes you are doing it in your source control, that will be deployed in your Auth0 dashboard. The second option, Auth0 is providing the Terraform providers as well. So Terraform, most of you already know, Terraform is one of the infrastructure as code tool created by HashiCorp. So using the HashiCorp Terraform, you can create like the entire infrastructures. We are having like multiple providers. For example, if you go to the Terraform, you will be having like a AWS provider, Google Cloud, Microsoft, Kubernetes, and a lot of like other uh, cloud providers as well. The same thing in like Auth0, we are having like Terraform Auth0 provider as well. So one of our developer community member, Alex, created this provider. So this provider is basically using our management API to create like all the resource. So if you are using like Terraform, you can use the same Terraform infrastructure or Terraform language to create like Auth0 resources as well. For example, I need to create like Auth0 client. Then you can follow this format and create like Auth0 client. Or if you want to do like Auth0 resource server, you can create like Auth0 resource server resource. So once everything is done, if you are applying like a Terraform apply, those resources will be created in your Auth0 dashboard. So now I'm going to show a short demo how that looks like. So here is the Terraform code, and we are going to create a demo like a single SPA plus web API application, right? So first thing, I have created a couple of Azure resources. So all my code is going to be deployed in the Azure, right? So I have created like necessary Azure resource using Terraform. I have created the resource group, service plan, and app service for React application and app service for my Node.js API application. Now I need to create like Auth0 client and Auth0 resource server. Auth0 client, since I'm going to deploy like a React application, the app type is Spa, and I have configured my allowed origin and web origin, which is derived from my app service site hosting. And I have configured like what is the JWT configuration, what is the algorithm, those stuff. Then for the API, I have created this resource server, and I'm saying what is my signing algorithm and what is the lifetime of the token and what is the identifier that's derived from the Azure API site hosting. And I have created this both resource and I have created the GitHub Actions secret so that I can integrate this Terraform into my GitHub Actions. So whenever I'm making any changes, the GitHub Actions will deploy the infrastructure using the Terraform. So this is like the basic thing, right? I have created the app infrastructure using Terraform, and also I have created the Auth0 infrastructure using the Terraform. Now we are going to see how that's integrated with the GitHub Actions. For that, I have created the terraform.yaml action. In this, I'm using like Terraform, setting up the Terraform using Terraform provider, and I'm applying that in like a Terraform apply if it is like pushed into the master branch or like main branch. So now you can see if you go to the Terraform workflow here, it's already applied into the dev environment. So the created infrastructure, those are in both Azure portal here, Auth0 App Demo Dev API, Auth0 App Demo Dev App, and also it's in the Auth0 dashboard here. Auth0 App Demo Dev App dashboard. Now dev environment is fine. I need to promote these changes to the staging environment. Since we have created this as a code, it's as simple as easy like I'm going to apply the same code changes into the staging environment. So I'm going to approve this deployment here. And once I approve, it's going to start the Terraform apply so that it can create like the entire infrastructure. I'm using like GitHub environments and like deployment approvals so that in like actual workflow, you can see whatever the changes you want to do in the infrastructure or in the configuration. You are doing those, and if I want to do this, apply the same changes in staging and production, I can create these kind of deployment approval gates so that I can review everything and it's good in dev environment. Then I can click approve and deploy that in the staging and the production environments. You can see it's trying to plan. In the plan, it has like all the resources it has to apply. Now it's trying to apply the Terraform. So plan is like without any modification in the infrastructure, it's trying to plan like what are the changes it should be done. So those plans are here, like it's going to create Auth0 client app frontend with all these necessary value, right? Once those are done, then it's going to start like apply the change. Now you can see Auth0 app demo staging app got created. The same thing will go for like API as well. Created, you can see Auth0 app demo staging API. So using the same code, what we used to create the dev API and also dev application, we are reusing the same code to deploy like a different environment as well. So that's the overall thing about like Auth0 Terraform providers. Then there are like another infrastructure as code tool like Pulumi. So using the Pulumi, you can write your infrastructure as code in like any language: JavaScript, TypeScript, C Sharp, Go, VB, and more, Python and more, right? So the Pulumi having also like the same concept as in Terraform. They have like different providers like AWS, Azure, and like Kubernetes, those kind of thing. And one of the provider is like Auth0 provider. So this provider is using Terraform created by Alex. So internally it's using Terraform, and Terraform is internally using management API. So in this one, you can create like a Auth0 user using like TypeScript or JavaScript or Python here, Go, C Sharp. So whatever the language you prefer or your team prefers, or in your favorite language, you can write the infrastructure in your favorite language. So that's like one other option. So we have seen the demo. So in this one, we have seen what is infrastructure as code and what are the benefits of using it, and how we can set up Auth0 identity infrastructure as code, and how management API is the base foundation framework for all these tools. And we have seen first class support tool like Auth0 deploy CLI and the GitHub deployment extension. And then we see how Auth0 Terraform provider works and how we can integrate that into the GitHub actions. And finally, how you can write the infrastructure as code in multiple language using Pulumi and the Pulumi Auth0 provider. So here I have provided this GitHub demo where it has all these reference code, and I have provided the link for Auth0 Terraform provider and Auth0 Pulumi provider. With that one, we came to the end of the session. If you have any questions, let me know. And also you can DM me at my Twitter at ksivamuthu. Thank you very much. Thank you.